Okay, so this is going to be the first episode that I'm going to do of ConsCast. There were a couple issues that had come up over the last couple of days that I kind of wanted to touch base on. One is a local issue, and the other is more of a video games issue, but they're both related to conservative slash social justice warrior type issues. The first one that I want to discuss is a local issue here. There is a local paper here in town that ran a story today criticizing the current coach for a coach hiring that he did within the last week or so. It's an off the field employee who is going to be covering player development. This is a former employee that had been employed at the local university here before. And the issue they have with this individual is that, first of all, he is Christian. Second of all, he made a public stand in front of a city council within the state, specifically going against a homosexual discrimination ordinance that had come up in that city. And so the allegation is that it was a dangerous hire simply from the aspect of how is he going to treat players if they come to him with a concern, or if a player comes to him and talks about them being a homosexual, how is he going to relate to that? Well, my biggest issue with this is they're making assumptions about an individual that has a fantastic track record at the local university in his previous stints here, and he had worked on and off here for decades. I mean, seriously, decades of work here, and there has never been a specific reported issue about this individual. There are assumptions. There are, well, what did he talk about to players behind the scenes, etc., etc. Well, you know what? We won't ever know that, and no player has had a significant enough issue with it to make comment about it. The other thing about this individual is he was a running backs coach, which meant he was in charge of recruiting running backs for a period of time during his tenure. And one of the running backs he chose that he recruited happened to be a Muslim. His recruitment of that individual was in the same vein as any other individual. He was kind. He used his Christian beliefs in terms of how he treated that individual. He has always been an upfront, honest, caring Christian individual in terms of his dealings with people. And that's how he treated this player as well. As a matter of fact, this player said that his commitment to that recruitment was what drew him to this university. He became a prominent player for us and has gone on to be I don't know whether you would call him a star player, but he is a roster regular and certainly has made a name for himself within the NFL. So I have a bit of a problem, considering there's a history with this individual that's on the opposite side. I have a bit of a problem with the local paper doing this, but it goes a little further than that, because the article also ended up discussing basically utilizing quotes from one individual, and it's the state Democratic Party individual that is head of the committee that deals with homosexual issues. I'm not going to go into that whole long string of letters they like to use anymore. I don't care. You can use it however you want to use it. I'm going to say that community that community that deals with homosexuality and all these other sexual issues, that community is the one that has brought an individual that is specifically targeted in that community moved to Nebraska, where I live, and anybody could have told that by Husker fan Chuck. I mean, that's not a question mark at this point. But this individual moved to Nebraska with his husband, and he's the one that they utilized to bring a lot of different quotes into this article. It was just exasperating because there's a lot of assumptions made and a lot of allegations thrown about in that article that his past history has shown there is no need for any kind of concern with that kind of treatment of players. And so I found the fact that the local paper even published this article to be a bit concerning and a bit hypocritical anyway, considering they've never expressed that kind of concern about people on the other side that have shown concern about them being around different individuals, such as children, in this community. It just frustrates me to no end. That's the first piece that I wanted to address, and I think kind of like I said, a local context. It's just insane to me. The second piece that I wanted to go off about is that in the gaming community, there is a website that has been kind of a hit or miss website. It used to be a really stellar website within the video game review community. It's called the Escapist, and had quite the run for quite a while. Over the last couple of years, had kind of fallen off a little bit, and so they had fallen prey to basically being a target for one type of audience, specifically one type of political audience. And their editor-in-chief came out with a statement, and I don't know whether it was today or yesterday, but it's been recently, about their future. They were bought out by a different company. They are working to revamp themselves into a new experience. And so as a result of that, one of the things they did was their editor-in-chief came out and specifically explained their strategy and their concepts for the website going forward. And part of that was a statement that they were going to essentially try and keep politics out of the work that they did. And then you go on to read the rest of the article, and his conversation wasn't to say that there will never be anything about politics or never be anything, some type of aspect that they take towards an article that where their political view may creep into that article. Their whole concept is they're not going to be overtly political on that website, and they're going to try and rein that in because that had been something that had been problematic in the past. I went on a couple different websites today, and one in specific really bothered me, and that was resetera.com. They're a great site if you're looking for the latest rumors, or you're looking for some other basic, really straightforward video game review stuff. But unfortunately, they get into this whole concept. There is a certain group on there, and I'd say it's probably a good sizable majority on there, that gets into this whole concept of needing to bring politics into everything that they do, that everything we do is political. And I guess to a certain degree, it's, okay, so if you're going to describe that to me, exactly what do you mean by politics? And what do you mean by political? Because if you're going to draw every nook and cranny in, you've basically given up any idea of politics having any substantive meaning whatsoever. Because essentially you've said everything is politics, which it isn't. There are plenty of things out there that are not politics. But my biggest problem with their attitude on there, and with the conversation that was going on there, was that any company that decided they wanted to go in this direction was automatically catering to the Gamergate community, or targeting the alt-right community, which I disagree with. I think there are plenty of places out there that I frequent in the video game community that don't hold themselves out as political and do a great job of keeping politics out of their reporting on video games. At some point, I'll go through and give you a listing of the video game sites that I tend to frequent on a regular basis. But I'm going to do that in a VidGame cast as opposed to trying to do that in here. My main concern in here is to say that you don't have to make something that you don't want to be political into a politics concept. And I think too many in the video game community have become way too concerned. And unfortunately, it's in the video game community. The entertainment industry, as far as movies and TVs, is horrible. That's gone off the charts. But even the video game community, to a certain degree, and the comic book community as well, which are both areas that I tend to actually have some interest in and frequented to some degree, have just gone off the rails with their social justice warrior type concepts. In other words, we always have to be concerned about politics. We always have to be concerned about representation. We always have to be concerned about X, Y, and Z. We always have to be concerned about everybody being equal. There being always an equality to everything. Well, you're never going to have that. You're never going to have an equal. People are never going to be totally equal. That's not the way this works. And people aren't equal. People have different talents. Other people have better talents at certain things than I do, and I have certain talents that are better than other people. The job that I work in and the arena I work in, I'm fairly good at. And I've got talents in that arena that somebody that doesn't have the skills to work in that arena wouldn't necessarily be able to target that. There are too many people that don't have the outgoing personality to be able to work in that arena like I do. You have to be able to deal with people and have to be able to have a good rapport with people in order to work in the industry I do. And I'm not going to go into what that industry is. I don't think I need to go into that on my channel here. But I just wanted to make you aware that I understand that aspect of it. People are never going to be totally equal. And that's okay. We don't have to be. And I'll tell you what, I'm a very strong Christian believer, and I don't think God made us equal in every area. I think God gave us all specific talents for us to use. And there's no reason why we need to think that everybody needs to be equal in everything. You do what you do. You do it to the best of your ability, and you work in that arena. But the problem is you have these people in these different industries where a vast majority of the people that are looking at this don't care about this aspect of it. They just want to be able to go into it and play and do stuff without having politics interfere in it. I want to be able to go out and read a comic book and not be hit over the head with female representation or be hit over the head with these other areas of representation that people seem to think we need in those industries. I want to be able to go out and play a video game and not have to think about exactly how that's portrayed. There was criticism of Far Cry 5 for not being targeted enough in terms of their story and attacking the Christian community. I find that absolutely ridiculous. I mean, there were a lot of people that were offended by the fact that game dealt with a psychotic Christian cult to begin with. But I didn't have an issue with that because I understood where they were going and what they were trying to do. I could have been offended, but it didn't bother me. But the thing is that we need to get out of this concept of being offended by everything and having all these different representations we need to think we need, and let people actually just enjoy what they want to do, as opposed to thinking that everything needs to be about being offended, and that everything needs to be about representation or whatever the latest catchword buzzword is for social justice warriors that they're all of a sudden deciding that they need to be concerned about. Anyhow, those were the two things that I really kind of wanted to discuss in this particular one. And I don't know, maybe I should just call these Chuck's Rants or Rant Cast or something like that. But this is going to be my premiere episode for the ConsCast, and so I'm going to start with this there, and then we'll I may tweak a few things in the future, but for now, that's where this is going to go. So anyhow, I wanted to get those words out, and I wanted to kind of vent a little bit about those particular pieces. There will probably be a lot of my ConsCasts that will be like that. There will be some other ConsCasts where I just want to relay some information. So one thing I would mention before I leave, first of all, if you like this video, please give us a like down below. If you didn't like the video, give us a dislike. But either way, if you'd also provide me a comment down below, let me know why you did or didn't like the video. And also, if you like what you're seeing on this channel, and this will be my third video going up on the channel, the other two had to do with Doctor Who. If you like what you're seeing in terms of content, please give us a subscribe and converse with me about what maybe you might like to see on the channel as well. I appreciate the time, appreciate your coming to my channel, and everybody, as always, husk on!